Dear Professor Tetzlaff, dear Dr. Lindner, dear Mr. Contius, somewhere in the air, dear Mr. Wollmann, dear participants, dear lecturers, facilitators, alumni, guests, and simply friends. Today is a very special day, the 45th anniversary of our International Postgraduate Course on Environmental Management for Development Countries. On behalf of the whole CIPSEM team, we, Anna Görner and me, Uta Berger, welcome you, and we are very pleased that you have made the effort to come here today to celebrate with us this wonderful and important event. That's all.
Yes, I'm also looking forward to these hours with you of some words and exchange then also. And I'm very happy that Professor Dr. Tetzlaff is here on behalf of the University Executive Board to share some thoughts on this occasion of the anniversary.
Dear Ms. Lemke, dear Mr. Contius, dear Dr. Görner, dear Dr. Berger, dear CIPSEM team, dear guests, it seems that the CIPSEM events are slowly becoming a kind of family celebration and tradition, and therefore I'm very happy to see familiar faces and many new ones who will hopefully bring forward this vibrant network. On behalf of the extended executive board of TU Dresden, I'm very pleased to welcome you today to the celebration of the 45th anniversary of the postgraduate program of the United Nations Environment Program, UNESCO, and of the Federal Ministry for Environment, Nature Conservation, Nuclear Safety and Consumer Protection, a very long name. Sustainability, climate protection, environmental protection, these are all important issues that are gaining in importance every day. All these better if we get as many people on board as possible to achieve these goals. This is a task that concerns all peoples and countries worldwide. With this in mind, the United Nations established the World Oceans Day in 1992, celebrated annually on June 8, to raise global awareness of the benefits humankind derives from oceans and of our individual and collective duty to use their resources sustainably. Even though we keep hearing about taking action on climate change, improving resource management, and protecting the environment, it's even worse that the Earth Overshoot Day arrives a little earlier each year. It marks the day in the current year when humans consume more resources than all ecosystems can renew in the entire year. In 1970, it was December 29. This year, it will be reached already on July 28. This is a frightening development, considering that the third quarter of the year has just begun. In addition, the share of waste is steadily rising in line with the increasing use of resources. According to the Heinrich Böll Foundation, more than 10 million tons of plastic waste ends up in the seas and oceans worldwide every year, most of which comes from land. This not only has a serious impact on the maritime ecosystem, but inevitably also on us, humans. Fish and shellfish, which are part of our diet, absorb microplastics, toxins through their food, and then often end up on our plates. Therefore, the goal must be to internationalize sustainability and firmly anchor it in our everyday lives. Since 2020, the University of Excellence, TU Dresden, has also been pursuing a new target strategy to interlink studies, teaching, and research even more closely, and to create a concrete framework, conditions for the local economy, as well as internationalized teaching and research. We now differentiate between classic university partnerships, regional partnerships, especially to increase visibility and impact in business and society, and a third mission. In doing so, we even focus even more on social responsibility, global challenges, which sadly currently affect us all and more than ever, as well the sustainable development goals, that means the political objectives of the United Nations for Sustainable Development. Since the first course began, more than 2,500 environmental management and technical professionals have completed the advanced training in these international postgraduate courses in the environmental management. 2,500 people. The past 45 years, an impressive amount that will hopefully continue to grow in the next years. So let me thank the whole staff, all colleagues involved in making this happen, and the whole CIPSEM team, where each team member had a significant role to play for the successful planning and implementation of the course, even in these unpleasant times, in which hopefully will end as soon as possible. But today we come together to celebrate past achievements to which so many participants, facilitators, and supporters have contributed and gather momentum for the challenges ahead in the spirit of the decade of actions to deliver sustainable development goals. I therefore wish you an exciting event and stimulating discussions with many new ideas and impressions, and I'm now pleased to hand over to the video message, I hope this is correct, of Ms. Steffi Lemke, which I'm professionally very much looking forward to. Thank you very much.
Professor Tetzlaff. As he said, unfortunately, not all our supporters can be present today, and that's why we are more than pleased that Bettina Hoffmann, she is the Parliamentary State Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Environment, Biological Nature Conservation, Nuclear Safety, and Consumer Protection. A long name, as we have heard. I will call it in the future BMUV, but she sent us a video message, and I hope we enjoy it together.
Dr. Ursula Staudinger, CIPSEM team, ladies and gentlemen. This is a happy occasion. Today we are celebrating the 45th anniversary of the joint BMUV, UNEP and UNESCO postgraduate training program on environmental management. Policy must always be underpinned by scientific findings. A few weeks ago, the IPCC brought it home to us once more. The 1.5-degree target is becoming more and more difficult to meet, but together we can still succeed. The coming years will be decisive in the search for compelling responses to this and other major issues of the future. Time is running out. The Center for International Postgraduate Studies of Environmental Management was established in 1977. Its aim is to support experts from ministries, authorities, and NGOs in improving their knowledge base and skills. In 45 years, 2,575 professionals from key institutions and 144 countries have completed their training. This is all thanks to CIPSEM. The postgraduate program is made possible by the excellent cooperation with the Technical University of Dresden. The program has established an international network of experts and future leaders which supports implementation of the 2030 Agenda and the Paris Agreement worldwide. Participants, alumni. To reverse the trend on climate change, our world needs people like you. Global warming, biodiversity loss, environmental pollution, resource consumption, documentation war, and social injustice are enormous challenges. The postgraduate training program on environmental management supports your efforts to advance crucial climate and environmental research. In turn, with data and facts, you help policymakers around the world take solution-oriented decisions and robust action. It is encouraging that in spite of many overlapping crises, in spite of the pandemic and war in Ukraine, the United Nations Environment Assembly made significant progress in Nairobi. UNEP 5 adopted a resolution on developing an internationally binding instrument to end plastic pollution. That is certainly a milestone for international environmental policy and of the same high caliber as the Paris Climate Agreement. The program's upcoming short and long courses, such as Urban Nature-Based Solutions, Sustainable Cities, and Environmental Management for Developing Countries, will help participants gain the knowledge to lead their countries and international community onto a more sustainable development path. I very much hope that the alumni of the current course can quickly put their skills and new knowledge to good use. We are running out of time to overcome the climate crisis, biodiversity loss, and other forms of environmental destructions in our home countries and worldwide. I look forward to continued cooperation and wish the postgraduate program every success in building a global network of inspired and motivated young people. Young leaders who will advance environmental protection and climate action and so make our world a little better. I wish you all the very best on your future path. It would be wonderful to meet you again along the way. Thank you.
dear ladies and gentlemen, we live in a beautiful world, and most of us appreciate this every day and are mindful of lives and nature. But not always this is easy to do, and we face serious problems which seems too bound to scale. Problems which are related to environment, problems which are related to the society, and all of them are interconnected. And what we face and have the processes on our daily life on the local scale are linked and interconnected and have an impact on the global scale and vice versa. Nevertheless, we share the hope in the intelligence of people and politicians and in their common will to cooperate and to have solutions. This clock shows the path of joint global efforts, which started about 50 years ago, starting maybe with the Stockholm Declaration in 1972, the Convention of Biological Diversity in 1992, or the convention, the Paris Convention in 2015. To name but a few. Of course, all these conventions can also be viewed critically because many of their goals have not yet been achieved. There are loopholes that allow actions at the national level not to be taken as they should be. But all these activities also have positive effects. The Stockholm Conference has led to countries across political boundaries and during the Cold War to solve together a very concrete environmental problem, namely the acid rain. And these activities led also to even more. UNEP was founded in 1974, and very many national environmental agencies were established at broad environmental policy to the consciousness of society. In Germany, these were the Federal Environmental Agency, the UBA, and the BMUV. And today, they are all partners of CIPSEM.
Yeah, so since the last 45 years, the UNEP UNESCO BMUV postgraduate course program is fulfilling its goal of providing higher education in sustainable management for established or prospective experts and leaders from the so-called developing countries, the global south. And this contributes to personal and institutional capacity building. So in a nutshell, since 2000, we have, since the foundation of the course program, have more than 2,550 alumni from 145 countries. Every year we conduct 3 to 4 courses with a maximum of 85 participants each year. And every course has a holistic and interdisciplinary approach. And there are many facilitators coming from TU Dresden, the School for Civil and Environmental Engineering, and also external experts. We, in the 6-month course program on environmental management, we have several pillars, for example, on water and atmosphere, on waste management and circular economy, also on renewable energy and energy efficiency, but also deal with basic qualifications. So how do we motivate other people, how to convey information, how to bridge between science and policy. And this is also an important dimension in the science policy interface that is part of every course. Yeah, and we are very happy about the continued financial support, both from the German Ministry for the Environment and also from Technische Universität Dresden, which contributes significantly also. So to give you an idea about the scope of the course program, here's what we've done in the past, a bit more than 2 years. So we had short courses, for example, on soil and land resources, with a focus on sustainable development, circular economy and waste management. Every year have the environmental management course for developing countries, and in 2020 it was, as for everybody, special. We had to stop mid-course and send course participants home as long as they could still travel, and have then continued only 2 weeks later as a full-time online course. And we're very grateful for the support of all our facilitators and everybody in the course program to also manage this difficult transition, as there have been quite a number of difficult transitions in the past 45 years. And we had to continue with online-only courses for quite some time on integrated water resource management, sustainable mobility. Did a complete 6-month course online, and we're very happy that the main targets could also be achieved in an online course. And yeah, this year we are finally back with this 6-month course to an on-site format, and are so happy that a good number of participants can sit with us here in this room today. As this has been so much of an issue in the past 2 years, here's a glimpse into the learning management system we are using for blended learning, actually since 2014, which helped us with a quick transition to online courses, and enabled us to issue a similar value certificate also in the end of each course. We therefore could do it so well that we were also highlighted as a beacon project at Technische Universität Dresden, and could even provide some counseling to other training programs of federal agencies. And a challenge was then definitely that participants have been distributed over many time zones. This is for the short course on integrated water resource management last year, so it was over 12 time zones, which meant that we could have limited time in live sessions together, and then had many other interactive elements that would work asynchronously. But also in the online courses we could maintain our key characteristics, meaning that the course content really is addressing challenges in the Global South. And we are providing an engaging learning experience in the online courses that would be, of course, live sessions with lots of discussions, but then also written discussions on the online learning platform, or group work that could be organized according to time zones, but also some role plays could be transferred to an online setting. And what's definitely characteristic for the UNEP UNESCO BMUV courses is that there's a very high level of support and personal care, which I think also really helped to maintain motivation in very long online courses. And we are so happy that many renowned facilitators keep supporting the course program, since there's of course changes in generations, but we always can count on very engaged facilitators that go way beyond the call of duty. We have well-defined focus areas in each course, and in every course, also the online courses, participants could or have received some financial support to help with living costs and also with good internet access. And eventually, participants become part of a large network of CIPSEM, the CIPSEM family. We focus also in every course on the transfer of the gained knowledge. So, for example, participants prepare a post-training action plan while they're still in the course, and we're discussing this together and give feedback and try to already think about the obstacles that people are going to encounter once they're back in their home countries. And yeah, also the final paper that participants are writing in the 6-month course is such a work of transfer where people work on issues that are relevant for their professional work and their institutions. And we're happy that since last year we can also provide innovation fellowships for which alumni of each course can apply to implement a mini project in their home countries that contributes to the transfer of the gained knowledge and skills. Yeah, this is an outlook of the short courses we're going to have later on this year.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. And as you all know, we are committed in CIPSEM to the Sustainable Development Goals, which were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 to secure that all people live in peace and without poverty, and that we save the planet. And this is the reason why we design our courses, as Anna explained, that we try to transfer and generate knowledge, how this can be achieved, and also how we can convince policymakers, stakeholders from the SDGs. And given the fact that we are not totally free in our actions and measurements, but we are restricted by the boundaries of the planet, it's also clear that we are talking so much about ecological processes and the biosphere in our courses. And for this reason, it's not only by chance, and it's not only reasonable and straightforward, but it's also a luck that our CIPSEM course is so much and so well embedded in the Faculty of Environmental Sciences, and that we have so good and strong partners inside the faculty, but also inside the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering. Some of them are here, for example, Peter Krebs, Karl-Heinz Feger, Herr Lohmann, Herr Kapp, but also Edeltraud Günther, from the head of the UNU Flores.
Yeah, a few words about our alumni. We're happy that often strong bonds can be formed and people are still meeting years after the course took place, on purpose, but also meeting, for example, on as members of COP delegations, or representing mandates from the United Nations. Or, yeah, we keep receiving stories from alumni, such as maybe opening a new faculty in their home country. Looking at the statistics, we also ask our alumni 5 years after they participated and 10 years after they participated in the course, what have been the impacts and the benefits from participating in the trainings. And many say that they have received more responsibility in their job. Very many say that they have acquired more up-to-date expertise. So we managed that part of transferring the knowledge and the skills. But also the collaboration skills between or with colleagues and partners have improved. And I'm quite confident that's also due to the interdisciplinary setup of each course, where we bring together people from very different backgrounds and then there's a lot of collaborative work going on. And that helps also to improve the cross-cultural skills. Since 2 years, we are also asking about technical research and methodological skills, and also there participants report improvements, also concerning practical problem-solving approaches. And all in all, 90% or more of the alumni would really recommend the courses to colleagues in similar circumstances. And yeah, often we hear that participants that join us have heard about the course program from some friend or colleague. Here's one alumni from Kenya. She participated in an integrated water resource management course in 2016. And she's going to speak for herself.
Greetings from Nairobi, Kenya. My name is Luisa Chinyavu Mwenda, a CIPSEM alumni of the International Short Course on Integrated Water Resources and Health Management course, which I undertook back in 2016 in Dresden. During that period, I was still undertaking my master's studies, doing a course in environmental and natural resources management. However, I was focusing on water resources. Thanks to CIPSEM, I was able to gain more knowledge and insight, which I used during my thesis project, and I was able to complete and successfully defend my thesis. I am now currently working with the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation here in Nairobi as a Senior Transboundary Water Resources Officer. Other than that, I am grateful for the networks that I've gained through CIPSEM because they've enabled me to gain much more opportunities. Thank you also because I have made lifelong friendships whereby I've learned so much from different people and different cultures, and I've also managed to meet some of my friends beyond the CIPSEM course. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate CIPSEM on the 45th anniversary, and I look forward to much more that is coming from the CIPSEM network. Thank you and all the best.
Yeah, that's some feedback we get. We also received this picture from the last COP meeting for the UNFCCC Conference of Parties in Glasgow, where of the Armenian delegation, where 3 members are CIPSEM alumni. One of them is among us also today. Yeah, and to continue with testimonies from alumni, I'm very happy to invite Subha Niranjan. She has participated in our 6-month online-only environment management course last year and is finally now also in Dresden. And she will tell us about her.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's such an honor to be part of this esteemed audience of the 45th anniversary celebration of CIPSEM. I thank TU Dresden, BMUV, the Federal Ministry of the Environment, Nature Conservation, Nuclear Safety and Consumer Protection, and UBA, the German environmental agency, for giving me this amazing opportunity of being here at Dresden. I would also like to thank Dr. Catherine and Dr. Patricia and all the faculty of CIPSEM for their kindness in giving me guidance throughout the EM44 course and up to the point now. The CIPSEM course reminds me of the dream of an Indian poet, Kaniyan Pungundranar, who articulated more than 3,000 years back in a Tamil classic Purananuru. He says, Yadam Ure Yavarum Kelir. This means I'm a world citizen. Every citizen is my own kith and kin. The CIPSEM course is an outstanding example of this poet's dream. We are one and have one earth. We are bound together in our work of bringing transformative changes that would facilitate living harmoniously with nature. Congratulations to CIPSEM on the 45th anniversary celebration. The hard work and coordination required for running a course like this needs dedication and precise planning. The course has set a trajectory and has opened many doors for students like me. Why did I do this course? Well, I have always been fascinated by the United Nations and its work towards creating a better and more sustainable future for all. This course would help me learn finer and wider aspects of sustainability to interact with people across the globe and share experiences. The EM44 course, the batch that I belong to, it was very unique because it was completely online because of the pandemic. Imagine bringing students and faculty together on a single platform with almost 24 different time zones, making course material online and assignments online, trying to impart the practical learnings. This would have added immense value to us, not to mention the fun and travel. The pandemic did bring limitations. We did lose out on some important opportunities. But the whole world was under a terrible pandemic, and our minds were occupied with this amazing course, with the best efforts being put in by the CIPSEM team. Now, is that not a blessing? But however, at this point, I would like to place a request to CIPSEM on behalf of the EM44 batch that we can come to Dresden for a few weeks so it strengthens our global partnership and for all the hands-on experience that this course can offer. This course helped me understand a wide array of topics from data visualization to GIS, from urban planning to integrated water management, from forest and climate change to the importance of pollination. It emphasized the importance of risk assessment and stakeholder engagement. We had impactful group discussions and online team presentations. The fellow-to-fellow presentation improved our ability to coordinate and work together as a team. We did not even know if we could pull off all this online, but in the end, we became more confident in our abilities to deliver. My work is on sustainability at Elke, an organization at Electronic City, Bangalore. As one of my favorite people, Maya Angelou, said, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." This course has helped me to know better and do better at work. My final paper, Water Scarcity Management in an Industrial Township, the case of Electronic City, Bangalore, was guided by Dr. Johan Schanze. Forgive me for my pronunciation if it didn't come out properly, but his inputs and guidance helped me to come out with a meaningful paper that is continuously helping Electronic City take water conservation and recycling measures. Another credit to the CIPSEM course. The CIPSEM course has also opened new avenues, such as the collaboration of my organization, Elke, with the ABCD Center on Water Management. This course has brought me knowledge, friends, travel, mentors, and meaningful collaborations. The Innovation Fellowship Award brought an interesting and impactful experience for me. The award helped us to work closely with school students in a government school at Bangalore, India, where I work. We were able to establish two things. One is to help the students understand the importance of water conservation and thus bringing in behavioral change on responsible water management. And two, we were able to build a rainwater harvesting system in the school. The school, which is a government-run school, had no source of water and was buying water from outside through external tankers. The rainwater harvesting system that we built through the Innovation Fellowship is able to conserve about 400 kiloliters of water per annum. This has brought down the school's dependency on external tankers and also brought down the money that it was spending, the expense on buying water. The students are now managing this rainwater harvesting system. Could we play the video of this? Yeah.
ಯುನೈಟೆಡ್ ನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಡ್ರೆಸ್ಡನ್ ಇವರ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪು ಮತ್ತು 10,000 ಲೀಟರ್ ಸಂಪು ರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ಶಾಲೆಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಧನ್ಯವಾದವನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೇನೆ.
I would really like to thank everybody for this fantastic opportunity. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a special honor for me to introduce our next speaker. Stephan Contius is a key supporter of CIPSEM and has been since 1999. He is, and I have to take my list again, he is the head of the Department for United Nations Developing and Emerging Countries, Environmental Aspects of International Climate and Energy Policy at the BMUV in Berlin. He is a federal government's commissioner for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and he has the German chief negotiator for the World Summit on the Sustainable Development in Johannesburg in 2002 and for the UN Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio in 2012. And I can tell you, this list is not complete. So thank you very much, Herr Contius, for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Professor Berger. Thank you, Professor Tetzlaff. Thank you, Dr. Görner. Ladies and gentlemen, dear alumni, and also a big thank you to Elke, Jahn, and Olaf Georgi for their interpretation of these very interesting pieces of good music. I would like to bring the best regards from the German Federal Environment and Consumer Protection Minister, Steffi. You heard the welcoming remarks of our Parliamentary and State Secretary, Dr. Bettina Hoffmann. And I would like to start with a few reflections on the last weeks, which are now characterized by not only the crisis we have to face with the consequences and the impact of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, but as well with the severe impact of a war in Ukraine. In spite of these severe crises, multilateralism is working. It is more difficult, and at the same time, we feel that many would like to see and show also in reality then that multilateralism is not a word. It is the way we can move forward as the community of international states, of stakeholders in different regions of the world. And with this positive spirit, the United Nations Environment Assembly was in a position to decide about the mandate for the negotiations on the plastic agreement, a legally binding agreement for marine environment protection and their pollution via plastic. This was possible with so many countries around the world in a consensus procedure, because this crisis is a very severe challenge for the world community. We just learned that even in the Antarctic, you are finding small particles of plastic in the snow coming down from the sky. So this shows us that we have to face a severe problem which we neglected in many regions of the world over a very long period, as well as the well-known problem of climate change, as well as the well-known problem of the scarcity of biodiversity. We have to move, and it was a very moving day in Nairobi when we had agreement in March, and the last countries who had opposed such a mandate for negotiations for a legally binding treaty we're joining in, and we're part of the consensus. I'm mentioning this because many people are desperate. Many people are skeptical. Many people are not believing that humanity might be in a position to live up to difficult challenges. And with the Paris Agreement in 2015 on climate and with the SDGs mentioned by other speakers already, the international community showed before other crises happened that there is a sincere interest worldwide to live up to this crisis and to get to action. But of course, to move this forward, you need alliances. You need to reach out to those who are not part of the usual bubble, the usual crowd. And this is why international gatherings and the work of a program like yours and national legislation, etc., all these factors are very important. And if you take important elements out of this, you will not reach the result we need. So international gatherings, like also the one in Stockholm a few days ago, Stockholm plus 50 years after the Stockholm Declaration was adopted, mentioned by Professor Berger a few minutes ago. Stockholm plus 50 was a perfect opportunity to bring people together who are working now on implementable policy changes, which have an impact in the different countries, to reach out to stakeholders, business, NGOs, think tanks, etc., and to look for new avenues to bring things forward. Such a decision as the one in the UN Environment Assembly in March on the plastic agreement, they don't fall from the sky. They have to be prepared. You have to discuss these issues. And the more people are aware worldwide of the potential of good solutions in this area of sustainable development and environmental management, the better. And that's why your program is so important to us. We believe that your work in CIPSEM and the work of the alumni is a very important part of the story, which will lead to a successful solution of several important problems. This will not be achieved just by a few people in government, in city administration, in the United Nations, or in a few think tanks. This is something which needs the attention of many, and that's why your program is such a success. You reach out to many, many parts worldwide, many parts of many regions in the world, and you have famous decision makers who were in Dresden in many countries who make now the concrete decisions. And I happen to know some of them, and I'm very glad that I met those. Same with those who are now new alumni and those who are coming to the new courses. This is a network which is the precondition to get dialogue into concrete work, which makes a difference worldwide. The other issue we discussed in Nairobi in March was what is called in technical terms nature-based solutions. So decisions in favor of climate protection, which are based on biodiversity policies. And also there, a definition of what we think is a good nature-based solution was reached via consensus in Nairobi in March. This was an issue which was very controversial, and it's very important for the upcoming conference of the parties of the Convention on Biological Diversity in the second half of the year. The window of opportunity for concrete action, stopping climate change, is closing, as we know. And the new government in Berlin and in Bonn is highly committed to use this window of opportunity as successfully as possible. But as I said, we cannot achieve any concrete result of significance without working together with many countries, with many stakeholders, and to listen to their concerns, to listen to their ideas, to learn from their experiences, and to explain our approaches as far as they are helpful for others. We need agents of change. And I think that at least a large part of the alumni, if not all, are to become or are already important agents of change. And we are very thankful for the Technical University in Dresden, for the faculty doing this, for the secretariat facilitating this, also in time of the pandemic, that this is possible, that this is successful, and that it is something which will continue. We, from the federal government, are very glad about this, what you are achieving, and we would like to thank you for this. We will continue to fund this effort, and also in new areas of policy which are discussed now, as for instance, the Berlin roadmap of the G7 countries, which was decided about a few days ago in the meeting of the G7 climate, environment, and energy ministers, and with concrete ideas for circular economy and its impact on climate protection. That all this will be part also of your work in the future, as it will be part of the G20 work, as it will be part of the United Nations work, and that we will continue to exchange ideas between the course participants and those active in the federal government when you come to Berlin and we have our conversations there. I would love to thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you, and I wish you a very good continuation of the program.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Contius, for highlighting again for all of us how important it is that activities such as our course program go hand in hand with the multilateral processes. And now, yes, we do basically also what we do since 45 years. We never stop adapting and improving the course program. Looking at the huge tasks we have in front of us, we keep asking the questions, how do we enable leaders to implement a sustainability transformation? And true to the spirit of the course program, we bring this question to the podium and also to all of you, and are glad to include a truly wide range of experiences in this hybrid exchange. And fortunately, we also found an excellent and experienced moderator to facilitate this exchange. Lutz Thies is about to graduate with a degree in computer science and has focused on societal and environmental issues. Lutz has been a long-time student representative in the academic senate of TU Dresden and an active voice of the student body. Lutz is also involved with the TU Dresden Environmental Initiative, TUVI. Their engagement covered numerous climate-related topics over the years. For example, the push for the use of renewable energies at the university, the establishment of a green office, and the campaign to promote awareness for climate change at TU Dresden. So I'm very happy you are being our moderator today. And I invite you, Lutz, to the stage and also our panelists. Oh yes, and I forgot one thing. You can also put your questions to the panel. We have prepared a Mentimeter slide. You can see the link already on top. So you can go to that website highlighted in, with a dark blue background and then can formulate also a question to the podium. We have chosen this way because it's also accessible to everybody joining us on YouTube for the live stream.
All right. So also a warm welcome from me to everyone here and in the live stream to our panel discussion on the topic, how do we empower decision makers through education to implement the sustainability transformation. And at first, I'd like to briefly introduce our panelists so we don't lose that much time. I hope he's still with us. We already heard his introduction, Stephan Contius from the BMUV, and there's nothing more to add to his introduction. We also have with us Hasmik Basrigyan, an alumna of the course program from 2019 from Armenia, and now the president at the European Youth Parliament for Water, and also a future energy leader at the World Energy Council. We have with us Martin Bartels Awotwe, a current participant of the 45th UNEP UNESCO BMUV International Postgraduate Course of Environmental Management for Developing Countries, and also working at the Department of Agriculture in the Western region of Ghana. We have Ralf Wollmann from the German Environment Agency, working at the section of International Sustainability Strategies, Policy and Knowledge Transfer, and also part of the project group of International Academic Transformations for Environment and Sustainability. We also have with us Subha Niranjan, alumna of the course program and Community Affairs Officer and Sustainability Projects of the Electronic City Industrial Township Association in Bangalore, India, which you already heard in the brief presentation. And last but not least, we have with us, representing the CIPSEM team, Andre Lindner, currently the Managing Director of the School of Civil and Environment Engineering at TU Dresden. So, as you already heard, there will be the possibility to ask questions throughout the discussion via Mentimeter. I here by my side have a tablet where I can read them and incorporate them into the discussion. Of course, there will also be the possibility for everybody in the room here to ask questions in the end. And now we come to a little interactive part at first to see if the audience is still awake. You may have already spotted below your seats red and green cards because we want to do some quick lightning rounds. Our panelists also have them below their seats. You can quickly grab them. And as I said, these are basically just to see if the audience is still awake, but also to give us a quick glimpse on what we need to discuss today. So the first question is very simple, and I think I only want to see green cards to spoil here. So who of the audience and also the panelists would say that they are well informed and aware about the measures that need to be taken to achieve the sustainability transformation, the climate goals, the SDG goals, etc.? If you are, then raise your green card, otherwise the red one. That was a pretty easy task. I also see some people making jokes here. Okay, as expected, everybody put up their green card. But now to the real culprit and why we are here today discussing this. Who would say that the current sustainability transformation is running satisfactorily and sufficiently to match and reach the sustainable development goals, the climate goals? That paints another picture. And the third one, who here would say that in their institution and organization, they do everything they can to achieve these goals, and there cannot be done anything more to speed things up or to further contribute achieving the goals? All right. And that's why we're here today, talking about how we can empower decision makers to further contribute to the transformation. And I think, speaking for myself as a member of the young generation, it's a very basically absurd situation. We have very apparent crises, numerous crises, the climate crisis, the diversity crisis, the food crisis. And not only is there scientific consensus on measures to tackle them, there's awareness in the general public, there is awareness in politics. Countries have legally committed themselves to take certain measures to reach certain goals, for example, the climate goals or the SDG goals. And yet there's this serious disparity we just witnessed in our brief lightning round between these commitments and what's actually taking place and has been done. And my first question to open the round, and I then ask everybody just to join in so we have a vivid conversation, is to Hasmik. You are representing the youth also, our generation. You are currently the president of the Youth Parliament for Water, and you've just received this training. So can you tell us a bit more about the experience you made when basically the theory of the training hit the reality in your discussions, in your work? Could you apply the knowledge you gained from CIPSEM? What were the challenges? Where were differences between what you were expecting or not?
Thank you very much for the invitation, and congratulations again for everyone who contributed to the CIPSEM course for during this 45 years. So the question is very large. There are so much things to tell you. So from where to start? Well, I think CIPSEM, this opportunity of CIPSEM is firstly, when we graduate from CIPSEM, we need to accept that when we'll go to the real life, because I consider CIPSEM as a bubble where we are surrounded of like-minded people who share our values. So when we go back to the life where we face people who don't even understand what is sustainability and why why we need to care about the environment. So this is the first, I can say, the shock that we receive when you go back to the real life. And then speaking about youth and young people, I think every one of us, after graduating CIPSEM, we need to find the niche of our action. So the global transformations and the sustainable development are very large, and there are different sectors when we can act. So it's important when we come from the first days of CIPSEM, we need to think about it. So what will be my niche after I graduate CIPSEM? In which sector specifically I will work? Environmental management is very large, so my advice is also to the current generation, current course participants. So think about it. What is your niche where you can do your best to have an impact?
Martin, you're a current course participant. Have you found your niche?
I think so. I mean, being here, I think, is an opportunity of a lifetime. I have a background in natural resources, so obviously I have some exposure to environmental issues, but being here, that concern, that agency has been heightened and deepened. And talking about new concepts, new frameworks, I think I found my niche, and I'm going to make a difference when given the opportunity back at home, because just as she said, it's very important. Here we are surrounded by like-minded people, but then you go out there and they don't understand what you are trying to say. For instance, you are speaking to an economics, he is interested in making money, and you tell him that, hey, we need to protect the environment, preserve the environment. He doesn't understand that language. So this also brings me to a genuine concern that concerning environmental management, we need to mainstream it in our education, right from childhood, because data information is the key in implementation. And I also believe that decision-making should not be left to high-ranking officials and government officials. The real decision-making is done by average citizen. For instance, we are doing waste segregation. Well, the people living at home are making the decision whether to segregate the waste or not. So I believe that CIPSEM is a great opportunity, and with that exposure, I'll make a positive difference. Thank you.
So now he's back on the screen. Mr. Contius, you've just heard that policy making regarding climate change or SDGs, as Martin said, should not only be part of high-ranking government officials. I would consider you one. Can you tell from your experience how this program helps to incorporate more people in the decision-making process?
Yeah, of course. I think that those in the groups who come to Dresden, which are from NGO context, which are from think tank context, which are from local decision-making context, they are very more, I would say, they are much closer to many of the problems than government officials are. But also those, I mentioned before that I happen to know some of those alumni who are now in charge in developing countries, and it's a pleasure to work with them for concrete solutions. And they are very committed to change from difficult to better situations in all these areas of policy. So both is very important. And we will have the next sustainability forum in July in New York, which is taking place there every year in July. And the German Council for Sustainability will present local communities who have checked their policies against the SDGs. There will be a city from Colombia and a city from Germany as examples, but there are many more. The very city, New York, committed already to this procedure. We, on the national level, as government, have checked our policies and presented our ideas and problems to the same sustainability forum in New York. So there is a constant learning process and information exchange going on, which is not just government. The Federal Council for Sustainable Development in Germany is composed of many important stakeholders in our country, and it would be good to see more of such councils in other countries. There are a few worldwide. but to get this a more common feature of the policy making, to have stakeholders involved in political processes. We have given money also to the so-called global forum of such advisory councils, so that also in other countries, stakeholders are taken into policy design, etc. So perhaps the federal prime minister's office in Berlin is in charge of sustainable development policies in Germany. It's not the environment ministry.
So perhaps
it's
then
the prime minister's office. I just wanted to give these few examples how also from the center of a government you can push into a direction that stakeholders get involved.
So perhaps what you're proposing in your statement is basically not only the exchange within a program like this, CIPSEM, but also an exchange between the programs that are similar to CIPSEM worldwide. There were numerous points, and we also have numerous questions already, but I first want to ask Mr. Wollmann about the impact, because we heard about impact this program can offer, and the dialogue it can start between also high-ranking government officials and the people on the ground. How was your experience with this program, with working with the people? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I'm very thankful to be here today and to be part of this CIPSEM family and to celebrate with you today these 45 years. I had the pleasure in the recent years before the pandemic to meet nearly all participants during their visits in Dessau, where our agency is located, where we're providing our experience and competences, where we allow discussions with experts from our agency. And we had the possibility also in the evenings or during meetings here in Dresden to discuss the needs, perspectives of the participants. And what I see is that the mix of the participants, their diversity, as already mentioned by Mr. Contius, this is a key factor for the impact of this program. It's not only the knowledge, it is the collaboration to embrace diverse perspectives, to discuss conflicts and also differences, and so to somehow align visions. And if we go further in this way, then we can really go across borders between different groups in the populations in our partner countries, and to find appropriate solutions for all. So I would like really to highlight that we should continue to have this diversity in the participants. This is really important.
Yeah, thank you. And when we now talked about the exchange and dialogue between government officials or politics and the participants of this course, I'd also like to ask Subha, because you already had it in your presentation, how the exchange between then the next level, so the course participants and the people in the countries is going. How was your experience to get in contact with them working together? Can you explain a bit more?
Like I said, our course was very unique because we did our course online. But my experience with CIPSEM has been fantastic because my work has always been doing work on the ground. So when I came to CIPSEM, my research paper was the first that I ever did. And it really helped me to understand how research can be transferred into actionable items. Like, for example, the paper that I did on water management. I was able to study the issues of water issues in Electronic City, and I was able to do a lot of research and understand the best practices across the globe that could be actually transferred into implementing it at Electronic City. So that was a great eye-opener for me, and we were able to implement many new initiatives in the place I work. And the other thing that CIPSEM really helped me was the negotiation skills and conflict resolution, which was part of the course. Because to be really honest, working in India, there's also a lot of corruption that is rampant. So when we have to handle certain government officials, it requires a lot of negotiation skills to be able to find your way to get clearances and approvals. So that was another special thing about this course that really helped me. Thank you.
And actually, what I wanted to get into more detail about, because it was also a question we got from Mentimeter or the stream, was how did the process go with the people in the communities? Like, were they very open to your proposals for your work? Were there challenges when working together with them?
I wouldn't say that there were any major challenges. I think, so what I took back from CIPSEM, even to the community that I worked, there was openness in receiving what I had to communicate.
And would you say that these people in the communities are now also, continuing the capacity building? Is there this transfer? Was it sustainable, to use this word, although some may find it frightening to say? But
sustainable is, basically, I think we need to keep putting in our efforts to keep it consistent and sustainable. So it requires repeated efforts to keep communicating, to keep engaging with stakeholders, to be able to continue this.
Okay. And now to have everybody once, before getting into more questions, Andre Lindner, are there things over the years that you experienced in the CIPSEM program that you would improve or build upon? We already heard that there were numerous changes in the program over, 45 years, a long time. So to speak, what is your wish list, basically?
Oh, I can make a wish, that's great. No, first, it seems like a blink of an eye when we'll be here for the 40th, like 5 years ago, for the 40th anniversary, and there are so many faces who were already there, so I'm also glad to be here again. And coming back to your question, of course there are things to improve. We improve for every planning, for every year, for every course. Nothing is the same. We try to adapt all the time to the circumstances. Most of the time it's to improve the topic, to keep up to date, or adapt to a pandemic, which is quite different, but also manageable. But I also want to come back to some things already said. For example, keeping the term of the bubble. Yes, in CIPSEM they are all more or less like-minded people, but also Ralf said, this conflict. And that we have conflicts and we have discussions and different perspectives in the course, and this is very beneficial. First, that it's in a bubble, so it's kind of a safe space where you can practice also to negotiate and then bring it to the real world afterward. And I can only emphasize also on the diversity. Yes, we have to keep this. This is something we do not necessarily to improve, but to keep it up there. But it's not only the diversity of the participants, it's also the diversity of the lecturers, of the facilitators. You will not find, let's say, conventional master's or bachelor program with this diversity of contributions. And there's something also these programs can learn from CIPSEM. A last point when making a wish, also to Mr. Contius, I already, one was already fulfilled by hearing that the financial support will continue from the ministry, and we at the university are very glad to hear so, that we are looking forward to further develop CIPSEM and its courses. But I personally, in my work, try to use the term use as a small model, also to take not all of it, but parts of it for implementations and other parts at the university to bring this whole sustainability topic more ahead than it even already is.
Okay, thank you. Anybody wants to discuss anything, or? Okay, because then we have a few questions already as time is running really quick. And Martin, you already talked about data, so I will pick this question also because I like data. The question was, how can we better bring data and science to policy implementation, especially in developing countries where funding for scientists is low priority for the government?
Exactly. Thank you for the question, whoever asked. Yeah, research and development actually has to be context specific, because sometimes, and I take this practical example, I'm working on a circular agriculture in economy with the help of my supervisor, Dr. Lulu. And during the literature search, we realized that there was virtually no data in Ghana and even other developing African countries concerning that topic. So we realized the gap, and it was very challenging for us. So I think that for donors, for funders also, they should consider rural areas, developing countries, for us to make progress in implementation towards the sustainability goals is very important. And also, one of the things I've realized that in science, after we don't really follow up on recommendation, I can do a very nice project and identify gaps, or I'll recommend that this particular area or parameter is targeted the next time, and if I don't come back to do it, it might be there forever. So that gaps also doesn't really help in decision making, because it doesn't provide a vivid and a holistic picture concerning a particular topic. And we should also go beyond publication. And it's wonderful adding laurels to credentials, putting feathers in our cap, but how many decision makers actually will go and read scientific papers? So we should make it very feasible, where someone can pick it up and say, okay, this is what is happening, this is a picture of the environmental footprint, this is what my institution can do to improve what is happening at the moment. Thank you.
I think you basically raised the next question already, and it's a question I don't know the answer to, because I'm not a participant or executive of the CIPSEM program, but is there this transfer of... okay. Is there this transfer not only in the community of CIPSEM and among scientists, but like the transfer to the general public, not only on the ground, of course, that's obvious, but basically I think this question refers to science communication in general. I don't know. Andre, if you want to answer.
Maybe I can start it at least. First, what was said already about data, I might add a lot of times, at least in my experience, or also in when I was like my former life as an actual scientist and researcher, data is often there, but not the information in the data. And to find or even find out that there's data available is also often also a challenge to begin with. In terms of scientific information and dissemination, I mean, at CIPSEM we do as much as we can, like to spread the word first within the university, which sounds easy, it isn't, as you might also...
I can confirm.
Yes, and then also to use the usual channels to go further, like social media and so on. But CIPSEM plays only, I would say, an important but minor part. It's really our participants then picking up on that and not only translating their knowledge and making the transfer in their work, but also into the media and into the general public. We have a blog also at CIPSEM, and sometimes we got like feedback from alumni back home where they can tell us, I was there, I was able to speak to the press, there was an interview at TV. And so it's maybe not big and still not visible like in a really large scale, but it is there, and we will also continue to improve. This is something we can certainly do to come back to the first question to further enhance.
Yeah, I would like to add some thoughts on this data question. Besides the question how to get the right information from the data, I see another challenge. We talked about crisis. Crises are often unexpected, and I'm not sure if decision makers always rely on data available if they react on crisis, or if they their reactions or decision making is based or influenced by other aspects. So I see a challenge how to use data and the information in a very fast way. So I'm not sure how we can train this. Maybe this would be an idea for future courses to very fast find the right data to prepare fast decisions.
Okay, and now hear that Stephan Contius would like to add on that.
Yeah, very briefly. Communication is key in all countries. And the media, social media, the classical media are part of that. And the problem in many countries is that it is difficult to get those data across to those who should have access to them. And I hope very much that in the group of the participants of the different course programs, there are also people using the possibilities they have in their country to work in the media or with the media to get this communication work done. It's not only the managerial problem described by Prof. Wollmann, it is very important, but it's also the general problem to get data into mainstream attention, as mentioned by others on the panel. So this work is much more important than most of us tend to acknowledge in daily life. The difficulties some countries are facing in the areas of human rights and populism and whatever it is, this has a lot to do with the way information is selected, networks are used to communicate to others. It's really key, of course. And I hope that this aspect will be reflected in the work of CIPSEM in the future in a way that you allude to it at least and discuss possibilities in country, how to work in media, how to speak to those who do it. This is important, and it's even so important that if you do not do it, you might see that solutions are not realized. Thank you.
Maybe, yeah.
Thank you. When we speak about communication, we need to acknowledge the role of youth. So youth are bridges for communication between decision makers, experts, society, and in general, all the stakeholders. So we need to empower youth more in that path, so they can contribute to those processes. On the other hand, when we speak about communication of youth, we need to see that youth are very important actors of behavioral change in the society that we all need, and everything passes through it. So from all directions, youth can contribute, and we need to work more with youth and for their empowerment, and and then can contribute and act, and also they can implement projects in their communities, and the impact will be bigger because they have more energy to connect and to be bridge for all sectors.
And so, Subha, I also wanted to ask you about the communication. We saw the very nice clip, the promotional video of your project. How did the communication about the project go in the country and with the people in the country, in the community?
I think this whole process, we were able to take the photos and the videos throughout the project. So we had involved the students, and so it was a process. And I think it was received very well because it was more about research being transferred into something very practical. And it was something that was really, really required by the school. So actually, as Electronic City, the place where I work, we have about 22 schools, government schools like this. And this is the first school that we have actually implemented. So when we kind of showcase this to our management and to the community there. The other schools also express their interest that they do also want to involve their school kids in implementing these rainwater harvesting system. So I think this communication was very useful in creating awareness on what rainwater harvesting is and how we could also implement it in all the other schools.
Okay. As our time is unfortunately almost up, I would like to look in the audience if there's any question from the audience. Remember, a question, not a statement. Okay, it doesn't appear to be the case, but that's no problem. Because I see you, Mr. Contius. Unfortunately, we have to shift to the last round and back to the original key question, where everybody can once again say a few words. So we already heard that a requirement for the education of decision makers is also to brief them or to educate them on communication, science communication, community communication. There's this good German saying, do good things and talk about it, right? Now for the last round, because our time is almost up, I'd prepared a summary question that I'd like everybody of you to answer. And there was also a question in Mentimeter that raises what I wanted to ask. It's, what is a mindset that decision makers should have to really drive the sustainability transformation? And so combining this with my question, what are like 2 or 3 key facts or mindset recommendations you would give to future course participants or other decision makers worldwide? And let's start with you.
Yeah, this is a question that, of course, needs more reflection. And what we can advise, decision makers. Well, I have this year in November. It was my first COP to participate, and my vision of COP was from my studies at CIPSEM. And I was thinking that there we will meet, we will have more professionals, more people. I will meet more people who understand the challenges in depth. And then I go there. I was around negotiation table, and I was surprised of the quality of discussions. So I guess that a lot of people here from the CIPSEM, the courses who are participating now to the courses or our alumni are in their head when they were studying, or even now, they are thinking that that this is the place, the COP or other big conferences are the place of the most knowledgeable, most powerful individuals. But actually, those most powerful and most knowledgeables are among us. And you yourself as well put that challenge for you, in face of you, that you can be that person who will go and represent your country and your organization, your values during those conferences. So have big ambitions and realize those.
Okay, Martin.
Okay, I think the attitude every decision maker or policy maker should have is one of a participatory approach. I mean, talking about the bottom-up approach, because usually the decisions we make, those who affect them are not even a part of the process. And since I came here, we've been talking about participatory approach, stakeholder analysis, and I think it's something which has to be highlighted and made profound among decision or policy makers.
Thank you. Andre?
Yeah, try to be brief if that's possible, but it's the dilemma of complexity. Because complex things in ecology or in sustainability, they will stay complex. Of course, there are ways to simplify it and to communicate it, but some things are complex and they will stay complex. And we have to embrace this complexity and make people understand that even if you don't know all the facts, be sure that it is complex and that every small decision you might make might have big, big consequences. And also, if I get a decision maker here, maybe for an advice, speaking about simplifying, when our environment is changing, and this is speaking for all living things, so from humans down to one-cell organisms. There are only 3 things we can do. We can move away from unfavorable conditions. We can move, but there's only so many places we can move, and I think SpaceX is not yet ready to transport us to another planet. So, move. Then we can die. This is quite usual in our planetary history, that species get extinct, ecosystem change completely. This is an option, so to speak, and we can adapt. But for adaptation, we need resources, and most of the time, for effective adaptation, we need time. And we are running out of time, and this is my advice, that we need to be faster and more effective.
Yeah, from my point of view, sustainable development is not a straightforward technical process. It's a lot about people and their relationship. So, referring to different opinions we heard today, I think it is very important to value the contributions of others, to listen to others, because there's always a reason behind a specific position. And that's the only way to really collaborate, and it is important additionally also to feel in this collaboration, because without feeling, I think it's not really possible to transform personally and finally also our societies.
I think it's very essential that decision makers, what I realize from where I work at Ulster is that everybody wants to jump onto the sustainability bandwagon because one is because investors are looking at companies who are more sustainable, and even consumers are looking at people or at companies who want to be, they want to associate themselves with companies who are being more responsible towards the environment. So it's very essential for decision makers to make their decisions based on scientific reasoning rather than looking at quick fixes. Because what I realize is that just to showcase that somebody is being very environmentally sustainable, I sometimes see decision makers taking wrong decisions which can actually be counterproductive to what we really want for the environment. So I think that decision makers should equip themselves with strong scientific knowledge, and also as change makers, we should facilitate decision makers to make the right decisions for the environment.
Okay, and now last but not least, from the Zoom conference, Mr. Contius, I took you last because you are a decision maker, so please very briefly reflect on what you just heard. Was there something you will in the future take more to your heart, and what are things that you would like other decision makers maybe you interact with on conferences and etc. To take to their heart?
Yeah, for instance, what was said about listening. You cannot build an alliance or a coalition or a group of friends moving things forward without listening. So this is very, very important. Second, perseverance. So a no is not necessarily a no tomorrow. You have to be persistent and to keep course. And in this context, by the way, complexity sometimes is dangerous. So to simplify complexity into something understandable, but not forgetting the complexity, is part of success. You need to make your point. And it is very dangerous to get lost in complexity. But to acknowledge complexity and draw from there the convincing argument for another solution than the one we have is very, very important. And that's why complexity is important. Last point, replicate smart approaches. There is an initiative of several institutions called SEED, S-E-E-D. You find it in the internet under the address ceed.uno. It's an initiative funded by several governments for replication of good approaches locally in developing countries and in emerging economies. So if you happen to know somebody who is doing something really smart and interesting, which you think should be replicated or enhanced by a little bit of help, this is something you can work with this institution. It's a network with UNEP and many others. And with this hint for your work back in country and to help others to be seen, I would love to thank you all for having been in a position to discuss with you, and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. And that's already part of the closing statement. We are at the end. And as with every good panel discussion, we are a bit over time, but that's fine. I wish you all the best for the rest of this meeting, for the discussions now at the tables. And perhaps there were some insightful thoughts during this discussion. And when you meet in 5 years for the next big jubilee, maybe things have changed and we can say, yes, we sped up the transformation of sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lutz. Thank you, panelists, for this lively and nice discussion. It's time for the last words of the official part of the celebration. I said thank you for the panelists. I take my freedom and want to give you a last thought. 45 years of CIPSEM, we have heard, is a lot of adaptation, but it's also a lot of survival. I don't know whether the younger knows this, but CIPSEM was founded in 1977 here in Dresden, and it means that it was founded in the former German Democratic Republic at a time when there was a Cold War, when Germany was divided in 2 parts. And this means also that it's a survival and almost not straightforward that we are here. And this could be only because there was a strong mission, a lot of people, but also a lot of people who helped us. Starting with the former Minister of Environment, Dr. Töpfer, Klaus Töpfer, who said this should not die in the 90s, but also with other persons here in the universities, in the administration, with some deans. One is here, Karl-Heinz Feger, who made the next survival for the next administrative earthquakes in the 2013s. There were some before, which I don't know. And I would like to thank you, all of these people who are here. And I would also like to thank you, all our people from the administration, from the decanate, who are always with us and give us support, often in a very windy and stormy situation. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks for this round of applause for everybody who contributed to the course program in so many different forms. And yeah, basically, we take you now as representatives of the different people who contribute to the program in different functions, and would like to hand you some flowers. And yeah, in the spirit of the course program, they can hopefully survive for a long time. So, thanks again. And now, before we continue the discussion in a more informal setting, also with some food, I'd like to ask all of you to come to the front so we can take a group picture together. Ja, ich kann auch für dich sprechen. Auch für dich. Danke alle.
Ich hätte gern das Team vom CIPSEM, hätte ich alle auf die Treppe. Die Größe nach sortieren. Oder zum Beispiel über dir und du eine Stufe drunter. Und alle Studenten aktuell. Und alle Studenten, die aktuell jetzt sind, die hätte ich gerne hier vorne platziert.
Ja, und das Podium kann sitzen bleiben, oder?
Also Peter.
Ja, Martin. Yeah. So we're trying to arrange all of the course participants, the current participants here. You are very fine here on the stage for the group picture. Yeah. Yeah, it would be awesome if Mr. Contius also stays for the group picture.
Thank you.
So you can come to the front. You look beautiful. Das CIPSEM-Team soll bitte auf die Treppe. Ja. So, CIPSEM team members, can you please join me here on the stairs?
Now I'm short again.
Roman, kommst du mit hoch?